Hey everybody, if you had caught some of my earlier videos, you probably noticed that I used Cakewalk Sonar Platinum as my DAW of choice, and that is changed nowadays. I'm now moving into where I'm using PreSonus Studio One 4, and I find that that program is just suiting me just fine. And let me just go ahead and pull up a screenshot of that, and if you take a look here you can see that that's a pretty colorful screen. It was something that took me a little bit to get used to, but it is laid out very logically. A lot of things that I like about it. You can obviously, like most DAWs, you can go ahead and put the mixer on a separate monitor, but for this video I've put it on the same monitor. But let me pull up a Cakewalk, and you can see that it's quite a different display. Originally I'd liked this gray theme. This is the Mercury theme because I felt it was pretty gentle on my eyes, and I like these little things, just like these little icons down at the bottom. I like them a lot. I like the Pro channel and things like that, but I found that let me tell you why I stuck with PreSonus here real briefly, and I'll just try to shoot through this. I basically switched over because once I switched to PreSonus, there's a couple of things that I really did like, that it really suited my workflow a lot better. At first, when I saw these colors, I go, oh boy, that's pretty garish. Of course, you can change the colors to whatever you want here. It's really easy. But where I like the icons and Cakewalk, I find that I can quickly see what is what, because I make my drum tracks typically red, and I'll make my bass tracks, I'll make them green. And so at a glance I can see, oh, here's my drums, here's my bass tracks, the blues I like to use for synthesizers and such and such. So quickly at a glance I can see what I have here. The Pro channels in Cakewalk, let me go back to that. Let me pull that up here. I've got that on the master bus. And it's nice if you're looking at this. Let me get my picture out of the way here. Hang on a second. I'll open up another Pro channel. There you go. And it has some nice things built into it, but it takes up a lot of real estate. You can't beat the quality of these individual channels. I like them a lot. But again, it just takes up a lot of space, especially if I put them on a lot of channels. And it gets a little confusing to look at, actually. I found that having things back in Studio One all in the effects bin. Now granted, Cakewalk does have an effects bin also. You can see I've got a couple in the effects bin. And the Pro channel was nifty, but I just, once I left it, I felt I didn't really miss it. Let me go back to Studio One again. You can see here I've got basically the items here that I can just pull up the the GUI interface on the plugins. I can pin them so I can pull up several at a time. And that's been very helpful. There's a couple of other things. Basically, when Cakewalk went under, myself, like a lot of other people, and this is in the fall of 2017, we decided, well, we need something a little bit more than having a DAW that's not supported anymore. Therefore, myself, like a lot of other people, we went looking, and I found that PreSonus really was a good match to what I wanted. The MIDI was up to spec. Originally, I'd gone with Cakewalk because of the MIDI, and the MIDI is just fine in PreSonus Studio One. It has pretty much basically all the features that people rave about, that the MIDI capabilities that exist in Cakewalk. Also, I feel that since Cakewalk has been kind of revived, it was bought by a Japanese company, Bandlab. I believe they're Japanese. It seems that they've come back out and offered Cakewalk for free, which is excellent, but it is basically the light version of Sonar Platinum. It's a very current version. In fact, they've updated it and worked out more bugs. But unless you have your old version of Sonar on your computer, all the extras that you had purchased over the years with Sonar will not show up in this new Bandlab. So therefore, you need to have your old Sonar Platinum on your computer. Now, it doesn't take up a lot of space on my hard drive, so that's not an issue. But I just don't like having a program on there just so it can share the other items. That said, everything that I have in Studio One, all the plugins that I used with Cakewalk, including the Cakewalk plugins, all work in Studio One. There's a couple that I am missing, a couple that were Pro Channel specific, a couple compressors, but there have been replacements that PreSonus has built into their program that have easily replaced them. So, that said, I've been away from Cakewalk for about a year plus, and when I've gone back to it, I just kind of found it a little awkward to work on. And Sonar, it's a fine program, Sonar Platinum, which is called Cakewalk by Bandlab now. I'm not dismissing any of the qualities of the program. It's just fine, and frankly, I would recommend it to a lot of people that are looking for something because it's free. But I kind of entrenched myself into Studio One. I went actually a little deeper into it probably than I ever did with Cakewalk, even though that I used Cakewalk for years and years. But there are features in Studio One that I went ahead and explored because I thought, well, let me just learn as much as I can about the program, and just things like the arranger track that have come out and the chord track and just different items like that have really been a real help to me. And one last item, this right here, this fader port, this has been a real a gem in the studio. It's just a couple of faders, motorized faders, but the hardware integrates perfectly with Studio One, and that just really sold me over. I would never go back to a DAW that doesn't have this hardware control that integrates. I can control plug-in parameters, of course, all the volumes. I can arm tracks. I can arm automation, read-write automation, etc., etc. Now, this fader port will work with the Sonar Cakewalk by Bandlab. It will work, but basically it's more limited to just the transport controls, and then I can hook up the faders and such, but it is not as nearly as integrated as dealing with PreSonus Studio One. It's just a perfect match. It's a marriage made in heaven, and so that's really sold me. If you look at some of my past videos where I'm playing live, I'm able just to go ahead and play my guitar. I can quick reach over and adjust volumes or do whatever, and it just works great. So that's my answer. A little longer than I anticipated it to be, but no, I'm not going to switch back to Cakewalk. I'm fully entrenched in PreSonus Studio One 4.x, or I'm on the Studio One 4 version right now, and I think it's great. I'm glad that PreSonus seems to be a very solid company with both their hardware and their software, and that's very encouraging too. But that's my decision, and obviously you can make up your own mind. I do miss the Cakewalk forums. I drop over there every now and then. PreSonus has fantastic forums, and they also have great videos on YouTube for instructions. I have some myself included. But I feel that my roots are now with PreSonus Studio One, and that's where I'm going to stay. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.